What's up, people? One Nut Puncher. So I'm going back to Convergence because they released an update called Major 2, and this was actually a lot of overhauls for the bandits, new weapons, new mechanics, and they also added a rare or black market trader called Truffle. Mainly the update is about the whole Bandit AI, and previously in Convergence when you fought against the bandits, they would just sit there in a corner and scab and stuff, or they would just talk to each other by a campfire. Now they will walk around, patrol, and if you're engaging them, they'll run behind cover, and sometimes they'll even cower in fear or surrender if you try to take them out. I don't know how to actually do that because when I did that, I just kept destroying them all or shooting them from afar. But let's go ahead and talk about the patch notes in the specific one. Another thing what they did was is that when you shoot a bandit, instead of just standing still, they actually jump up in the air and do physics, like you're about to see this guy do right here. Shoot him in the head, and then the gun will fly, and his body just leaped up in the air. Not all the time will they do that, but they'll just sometimes fall, or they'll actually do death throws when they're on the ground, and they'll hold the wounded spot that they had, like their stomach or their head. But let's go ahead and talk more about the patch notes when it comes down to the Bandit AI overhaul. They say, which began late last year with the addition of ragdoll physics and numerous AI bug fixes. Bandits now behave dynamically and realistically in combat. They reposition, take cover, retreat under heavy fire, and flee from grenades. The last surviving bandit in a group can now surrender and drop their weapons. Instead of always dying instantly, bandits can now sometimes fall wounded to the ground, like I said earlier when they were doing death throws. Bandits now have a more diverse loot pool, which there's a lot more stuff to pick up other than just ammo. They have dynamite, bandages, toilet paper, and sometimes even like glow sticks and throwing knives like you've seen beforehand. They also have a variety of weapons, including new additions to the Mosin Nagant that you see here and the IZH Sawed Off shotgun. They go on to talk about they are now divided into classes based on their weapon type, each with unique combat behavior. For example, snipers never close the distance, while shotgun-wielding bandits aggressively push forward. Bandits can now miss shots at long distance. The greater the range, the higher the chance of missing. This is the new mechanic in the game for bandages. You have to take it, wrap it around your arm, and then that's how you stop from bleeding out if you get shot. I think it reminds me of another game called Into the Radius. I think that's also how you were able to do bandages. But just remember that when you're going into a raid, highly recommend getting a bandage because if you do start bleeding out, the thing that heals you, the medicine box, is not going to stop you from bleeding out like I will show later on in the video. They also changed the PPSH, making it a little bit more accurate and doesn't bounce around when you're shooting it. So I thought that was a pretty nice touch there. You can also find Molotov cocktails on the enemies that you down, but this is essentially what they look like when they're actually wounded. I actually shot this guy because if you do that, they have achievements in this game. And when I did that, it basically was like a piñata. It made the ding sound, and then I was able to loot his body. But also looked over and see my dog was peeing on his body, so I'm assuming he didn't like him very much. But you know what? That's my dog. He could do whatever the hell he wants, so I clapped for him after he got done doing it. But essentially, they'll drop ammo, Molotovs, like I said, different other items as well. And this is another thing I wanted to show off. Essentially when it comes down to the dog, I screwed up right here. I was trying to mess around with the grenade and I pulled the pin. I had to run away, otherwise I would actually die. My dog went down. The dog could be critically injured in this game. So I was like, oh man, what the hell am I supposed to do? I was like trying to help him out, and I realized I could use my medicine box, pull it out, and then stab him with it, and it'll pop right back up like nothing actually happened. And you get also an achievement for it. So be aware that if you do have your dog get critically injured, not like how I did to where I dropped a grenade accidentally, but you could pick them up with the medicine box. Let's talk about the weapons a little bit. I'm actually using the Mosin Nagant, and I want to talk about this specific gun besides the IZH that you'll see at the end of the video. When it comes down to loading it, you just grab a single bullet and you put it in there with the grips, and it'll just lock into place, or you could use a stripper clip and it goes all in with 5 rounds. You can also pull it back. I have trigger to where I pull it back all the way to where the round pops out, and then slam it back in front so that it's completely locked in. If it's not completely locked in, then it can't fire. But it doesn't sound really great. I mean, it does kind of seem like it's pretty strong, but it doesn't feel like I'm actually shooting a Mosin. One, it sounds like I'm shooting a pistol, and two, the recoil and muzzle flash doesn't seem like it's that big, but that's just me personally, and like I said, this game is early access, and they're still working on a bunch of things. Now, in my experience or playthrough that I've had so far, I haven't seen the black market trader Truffle yet, but in the patch notes they say, a new underground trader has set up shop at the base. You can read more about him in the latest development diary. Truffle sells rare items that were previously only available at loot in raids, such as drum magazines or underbarrel UV flashlights and other rare attachments. He also stocks quest items needed for active missions, so if you're having trouble finding a specific item, Truffle has got you covered. His inventory is limited with refreshes daily, so be sure to check in regularly for the best deals. And I mean, like I said, I haven't really seen him yet, and he is the underground, so if he's not at the base, but he's somewhere else inside of it, I haven't really found it yet. Another couple of things that he did for changes to conversions: ammo pack size for the PPSH and Tokarev increased from 45 to 60 rounds. Ammo boxes can now be stored in the large belt slot. Insurance moved to the first stand instead of being off to the side, where it used to be by the exit door that you would walk out before you go to the mission. Now it's actually over by the store when you could buy your pistol, your PPSH, or your shotgun, so that's where it's normally at. Crossbow bolts and quiver now unlock at reputation level 3. Bandits now take longer to detect at crouching players, which make you actually quiet when you're crouching. It says, crouching now completely silences footsteps and slows movement speed for a bit more. Some other things I forgot to mention: your dog can now take damage in combat, like I seen earlier when my grenade went off accidentally. If critically injured, it will require medical assistance to recover, which again was the medicine box. There's also new passageways with some of the new levels, like they'll have broken down walls that you can crawl through, or holes inside big walls. And that was something that was pretty new. It wasn't in the original patch notes before this one, so I do like to expand the map more. Bandits now have more dialogue rather than just the same thing over and over again, which is difficult to tell because I don't speak Russian. And then they have the blood splatter effect on screen when attacking with a knife. But I wanted to show off what the Mosin kind of look like in the firing range before the end of the video. And when it comes down to a lot of these issues with this game, I did have one with the IZH. As you can see, this is the sawed-off shotgun, the IZH. When you're shooting this guy, it took 2 shots, he doesn't give a shit, and then I pulled out the other one, tried to one-hand it, and it went right through him like nothing ever happened. At this point, my character did die, because I wasn't able to bandage myself because I didn't have any bandages. Instead, I had the medicine box to where I would use it, healed myself a little bit, and then I just couldn't do much because I bled to death anyway. But that was one of the annoying things I had to deal with when trying to use the sawed-off shotgun, that if you try and one-hand it, it's not going to do much, or it's just like going right through them. So at this point I was annoyed, so I just decided to stab the living hell out of this guy when he was down in the ground. But that's essentially what it looks like when you're stabbing them. It'll give you the blood splatter effect all over your face when you're bleeding out as well, because again, I didn't have any bandages to heal myself. But after about 2 hours of play, I've been liking it more and more. I like the idea that they actually have physics now when you shoot the bandits, that they actually do more than just rush you, and then they go and take cover, surrender, and they have more stuff to go find inside Convrgence. But anyway, I've been One Nut Punch, and this has been the major update number 2 for the VR game Convrgence. It's currently on sale right now for $13.99, and it's being made by Monkey with a Bomb, which is single developer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later in the next one.